brothers and sisters in Dhamma, very good evening to all of you. Once again, back to Buddhist Mahavihara in order to deliver Dhamma talks and share the knowledge in Dhamma with you all. So it gives me a great pleasure to discuss Dhamma matters with our devotees, especially with our brothers and sisters, because the discussions on Dhamma will enable our ability to enhance our spiritual skills, ability to practice, our capacity to exterminate the defilements from our mind, and the Dhamma will help us to shorten our sansaric journey and at the end to enjoy the supreme state of Nibbana. The purpose of listening to the Dhamma would be the attainment of Nibbana in order to enjoy the Dhamma, and also rejoice the Dhamma. Today would be the first talk that I deliver after the settlement in Buddhist Mahavihara, again after 2 years after COVID. Temporarily I visited several times, but this time would be a permanent setting in order to engage with you in Dhamma. Whatsoever, at the beginning of this talk, I would like to remind the importance of the Dhamma. You already know, just a reminder, noble reminder. The Buddha says, Sunahata dhareta charata dhammi. Sunata means to listen to the Dhamma, to hear the Dhamma. Dhareta means keep them in the mind, not to forget. Charata. Charata means whatever you have heard as Dhamma, whatever you kept in your memory as the Dhamma, whatever you have stored in your mind, and live according to those Dhamma. Then just like the umbrella that you use during the period of raining, you would have a great protection, safeguard, because of practicing the Dhamma, because of living in accordance with the Dhamma. That's how the Dhamma brings advantages, shelter, help, assistance, and also the spiritual protection for us. Having said that, when you think of the today's topic, that is a big topic, religiosity versus spirituality. The contemporary society, the present society needs to understand the Dhamma with existing concepts in the society. Therefore, religiosity versus spirituality Of course, one of the prevailing topic in discussion at present everywhere. So whether it is religiosity or whether it is spirituality, that is a debate between some scholars, academicians, and some people who want to understand what is religiosity, what is spirituality. So of course that was not a discussion during the time of the Buddha. Then we need to engage in the studies in order to understand what is the term for religiosity in Buddhism, what is the term for spirituality in Buddhism. So I could gather some information for you in order to elaborate the factors or the evidences to support you to understand. When we think of the term religiosity, it derives from the term religion. I think the term religion, the discussions on the religion have occurred in this temple during the past decades. Late Chief also has discussed what is a religion. And later on, late Dr. Madavala Punnajit Thera also has discussed why religion. So religion, you absorb the meaning in the sense of some religious practices. Religious practices. Religion is something, the belief in a God or in a group of gods. The beliefs, faiths, practices, ethics, morality, festivals, whatsoever that we have culturally propagated around the beliefs with regard to a deity or a group of gods, we call that is a religion. We follow them. Because of that, we become a member of religion. We become a member of religion because we follow ethics, morality, beliefs, practices, or whatever things that have centered around a concept of God. So we believe in a God or group of gods. So when we believe or when we have a belief in a God or group of gods, we become the followers of those gods, then we become a religious person. Religious person. So the belief and the worship of for a superhuman, the belief in or worship for a superhuman controlling, having thought that this superhuman being got the control power of us, and especially because of that, we just respect that God, superhuman. We just consider that superhuman can be a God, and we believe in that superhuman. We think he got the control power of all the individuals. He can be a creator of this world. So we just absorb the gods in personally or group of gods. That is the background of religion. So when you believe in those concepts, we just think that is religiosity. Religiosity means religiousness. Religiousness means having followed that concept, you trust that concept and you believe in that concept. Because of that you practice. So you entertain the rituals. You enjoy the rituals. You rejoice the rituals. You enjoy rituals, practices, beliefs, prayers. Because of that you worship for that God. That is religiosity. That is religiousness. Then, religion can be defined in that sense from theistic perspective. Sometimes either monotheistic or polytheistic. Monotheistic means the belief in one God. Polytheistic means belief in a group of gods, more than one. More than one. For an example, you just imagine whatever religion you wish to imagine in the name, but don't tell. Then you just think this is the world created by God. We also have been created by that God. Everything happens according to the wishes of the God. So if the God is happy because of our behavior, then we will be blessed. If the God is unhappy, what happened to us? Like that you have a belief. So you worship. That is religiousness. That is called religiosity. Religiosity. People can have different views, different opinions, notions on the religion. By the way, when the Buddha was born to this world, there were different religions. 62 views there were. There were religious teachers as well. Among them, we call the 6 types of teachers, Shatsastru in Buddhism. They were very prominent and dominant in Indian society as the religious leaders. But theistic religion in India, when the Buddha was born, it was Brahmic tradition. They just thought of the God Brahma and he is the creator of the world, like that. Because of that, the people respected, followed certain ethics, all those things they did, this religiosity, this belief, because of the attainment of spirituality. Spirituality sometimes shares some common features with religiosity. Spirituality means the process of reformations. Reformations that aims to recover the original shape of the man. That means, original shape means you reform something, that is a process. Your aim is to recover the originality, purity. For example, you may follow the Buddha, you may follow, if you are an Islamic person, God Allah or whoever. People can have different religion and different religious teachers. Then, when you practice their teachings, you just try to recover the original nature according to their teachings. That is the practice of spirituality according to the definitions. Not only that, maybe when you become more religious, you just believe in the religion and also you may worship for the God. But there cannot happen a personal growth. Personal growth cannot happen. Just you pray, believe in the God, you have an emotion, you have feelings, attitudes. But no personal growth, then what happened? If there is no personal growth, that is religiosity. Just you trust that concept. But if there is a personal growth, in case of the religion, to achieve the spiritual targets or the achievements according to the teaching, personally you have to grow yourself according to the teaching. That is called spirituality. That's a process. That means you try to reform yourself, who is ordinary, to a condition of real nature according to the teachings of the religion that you believe in. That is called spirituality. Therefore, religiosity does not include a personal growth. Spirituality includes a personal growth with the practice. When we think of the common features that these both words share together, both contain feelings, beliefs. Religiosity brings emotions, but spirituality does not bring emotions. But there is a psychological process. And also both religiosity and spirituality promote, in a sense, preachings, practices, sometimes the faiths, festivals, sometimes prayers. But we need to understand in what sense we practice these things. Those are the differences between religiosity and spirituality. That's why at all the time religiosity versus spirituality, spirituality versus religiosity. To religion, we can find the definitions from the Western writings, dictionaries like Merriam-Webster, Oxford Dictionary, Cambridge Dictionary, sometimes from some scholarly articles based on theology and religion. But in case of the spirituality, we come to the term spirit. Spirit means something mental, psychological. How we develop our psychological condition in order to show the growth of spiritual attainments. That is the spirituality. Spirituality in the sense that is practical, that is experimental. So, individuals search for ultimate sacred meaning and the purpose in the life we find from the process of spirituality. Additionally, when you seek out for the personal growth, of course, the religious experiences sometimes will help, but spiritual experiences are experimental. We investigate the teachings of a religion from the spirituality. When we become religious, we don't investigate the experiences. That's why spirituality, on the other hand, becomes more practical and experimental. Experimental, if not researchable. So, spirituality with lots of practices, experiences, but experiences we can have from the religiosity also, but not experimental, not investigative, not innovative, because it has a tradition. We don't go out from the tradition. Just you think we line up and pass sacred items, table on the altar, and just say some stanzas or pray for something. Every day it happens. We know the sequences of the prayers. That's only our experiences, but not investigative or experimental. But in case of spirituality, that is indeed experimental and practical, researchable, investigative. So, religiosity, when you become religious, everyone can feel, everyone can practice what you practice. Everyone can have the same experiences. But when you become religious, not religious but spiritual, your experiences can be different from others. Those are personal growth, personal experimental, personal investigations. So yours can be different from mine. Mine can be different from yours. So ours can be different from others. That's the main difference between religiosity and spirituality in case of the common and main differences. So, how do we use these two terms in case of Buddhism? In case of Buddhism, completely Buddha's doctrine is a process that reforms individuals. Could you understand? Buddha's doctrine, Buddha's teachings, that's a process that can be put into practice, and that is, of course, practical, theoretical. When we think of the spirituality, because of theoretical nature, because of practical nature, because of attainment of the fruits or the results, Buddha's teaching help us to reform a person, change the person's conditions, change the sansaric nature. That's why spirituality is a process that reforms the personal growth or the individual characters into reality. Buddhism is such a teaching. In case of Buddhism, even though we try to define it as a religion at present time, I don't want to use the term religion in case of a Buddhism because of its practical nature. Better to say that Buddhism is a philosophy that practices the life. Buddhism is a philosophical practice in the life in order to reform the person into reality. Buddhism is a teaching that brings the individual from impurity to purity. Buddhism is a teaching that helps the people or the individuals in order to shorten the sansaric journey and stop it. In many other religions, people's followers, they want to satisfy their God and go to the God and stay with the God. God is permanent. In case of Buddhism, according to the Buddha, God is also someone who was born previously in human life and who practiced spirituality and became a God. Then everyone can become a God. Everyone can become a God according to Buddhism because of the practices of spirituality. So there is no one God. There are many gods. So from yourself you also can create another God because of your practices of the spirituality. That's the teaching of the Buddha. So we have a mission of spirituality in case of teaching the Buddha's doctrine. The Buddha says, Charata bhikkhave charikam bahujana hitaya bahujana sukaya attaya hitaya lokanukampaya deva manussanam. In addition to that, he says, Ma ekena de agamitta deseta bhikkhave dhammam Adi kalyanam, majje kalyanam, paryosana kalyanam, sabhyanjanam kevala paripunnam parisuddham brahmacharyam pakaseta. Buddhism is the first ever religion. If you define it in the term of religion, it is the first and one and only missionary religion in the world, with a purpose of a mission and vision. You know, Buddha formed a group of missionaries, 60 monks. The first group of the monks, and they were asked, you go here and there, preach the Dhamma, that means teach the doctrine, which is correct at the beginning, which is correct in the middle, which is correct at the end of the Dhamma. And they should bring the real meaning of the life, should be complete, like that. Therefore, ma ekena de agamitta, don't go two monks on the same road to same direction. One monk can go on the one road and one direction. Don't go together with another. And preach or teach this Dhamma. To what? To tell what? That's important. Sabhyanjanam kevala parisuddham brahmacharyam pakaseta. Brahmacharyam pakaseta. to promote spirituality. The term Brahmacharya is a synonym in Pali or a term in Pali, word in Pali, to illustrate the meaning of spirituality. So the purpose of Buddha's teaching is to express the concept of Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya means the reality in this world, the way of cultivating spirituality, practice of the spirituality, reality of the world. Spirituality brings the reality in this world. The Buddha says like that. Then the purpose of the monks in their life, not only the monks, when we think of all the disciples of the Buddha, to propagate his Dhamma in order to promote spirituality. In order to promote spirituality. Spirituality defined as the Brahmacharya. When we think of the Buddha's instructions. So in case of Buddhism, again and again, a part of Buddhism, bhavana. Bhavana means what? You can say meditation. Meditation, the term bhavana is used to introduce meditation, but actually the real meaning of the term bhavana, bhavana means the develop, improve, cultivate. When we cultivate, when we improve, when we develop our skills through the practices, we can enhance our skills and develop our spirituality. How to do that? The practical way is threefold. The spiritual way is threefold. Have you heard the words like Patipatti, Pariyatti, Pariveda? It becomes Pariyatti, Patipatti, Pativeda. Correct order. This is called praxis. The developmental way of spirituality in Buddhism, threefold, that is Pariyatti, Patipatti, Pativeda. Pativeda. What is Pariyatti? What is Patipatti? What is Pativeda? Pariyatti means theoretical understanding. Theoretical understanding. If someone says Buddhism is not scientific, this is the way to introduce Buddhism is a scientific religion, because it can be experimental. So Pariyatti means, Pari means a prefix. Pari means a prefix, Atti means develop. Then Pariyatti means theoretical understanding of the Dhamma. If you need to enhance your spirituality, you need to have theoretical understanding. You just think you need to be a carpenter. Simple examples. What to do? First of all, do you go to gather all the equipments and try to cut woods or everything? No. What do? You may refer to readings. how to build a chair or table. Then you may read the instructions how to build it. Then you will go to a senior carpenter and will question how to build a chair, how to build a table, how to create another wooden item, and you would ask different questions. You would get better answers. The senior carpenter will instruct you how to process the preparation of a table, the preparation of a chair or whatever wooden item. Then you are going to create a table. Then you would listen to the senior carpenter how to create it. Then you would read something written about creating a table. In addition to that, you will watch how senior carpenters do the preparation or creation of a table. That is called pariyatti. That is called pariyatti. Theoretical understanding of Dhamma, obtaining from reading, studying or learning. So you need to gather knowledge first of all through reading, studies and learning. That is called pariyatti. If you need to develop the spirituality as well, you have to learn the doctrinal concepts regarding everything in your religion, especially in Buddhism, as a Buddhist. Then you would come to Dhamma talks in order to listen to the talks because of that pariyatti. That's why you are here today. In order to gather theoretical knowledge from listening, from reading, from studies, from learning, from the teacher, from the seniors, from the experts. So pariyatti is like that. Then when we come to the second step, patipatti, after teaching, what we have to do? Go and do homeworks. That's how our teachers told us. However, when we come to the second stage, patipatti. Patipatti means practice, practical period. Once you get the instructions from the senior carpenter to make a table or any wooden item, you may store those theoretical understanding in your brain or in the memory. Then you come and try to form a table. So you would find equipments and necessary items, everything, and you may design. You just practically try to prepare a table. That is something against theoretical knowledge. Even though you get the theory from the teacher, sometimes when you are in the practice, you can have the experiences. Is it? Yes. You may have confusion. You may have troubles, problems. So in the practical process, you just find some experiences. You would become the first-hand experiencer in creating a table, rather than becoming a second-hand person or third-hand person in case of the experiences. Now you know how to build the table, or now you know the job of carpentry. Then you may achieve practical knowledge in addition to theoretical knowledge as well. In addition to theoretical knowledge, when you practice patipatti, you may achieve practical knowledge as well. Then you come to the third stage, pativeda. Pativeda means direct understanding, first-hand realization. First-hand realization of the Dhamma. Once you finish making the tables, sometimes you get the difficulties, then you refer to the senior carpenter, again learning, and come back and readjust your problems and solve it. After that, at the end, you may complete the process of making a table. Then pativeda, you come to the third stage. After completing the wooden item, table or chair, you may have the first-hand experiences. Now you have realized how to prepare a table or any wooden item as a carpenter. You got first-hand realization, first-hand experiences. So you would have the experimental period. Pariyatti, patipatti, pativeda. 3 types of stages. In the same manner, when we think of the spirituality in Buddhism as well, we need to follow the same theory. Same theory. So first of all, you need to understand the Dhamma, you need to learn the Dhamma. That's why the Dhamma discussions are appreciated, Dhamma talks are appreciated. So that's why the instructions are given to refer to the canon, canonical text, sometimes commentaries, sub-commentaries, and engage in the learning and teaching process of the Dhamma via various mediums. So sometimes you can watch the Dhamma discussion from the TV. You can listen to a Dhamma sermon or discussion from the FM channels. And you can use the multimedia. And also you can come to the classes like that. Dhamma talks. In addition to that, there are books, papers, magazines, which bring the message of the Dhamma. So you may read. If you have doubts, you go to a senior person who knows the Dhamma. You can solve the issues. There are so many various instruments, methods to read the Dhamma and understand and gain the theoretical knowledge. That's the first step of building the spirituality in you. When you build that spirituality, then you can practice that. That is called patipatti. Patipatti in Sinhala we say pratipatti. Pratipatti means the what you practice. Policies, what you practice. A good term for pariyatti in English, the policies that you practice, that you apply. Because policies you apply rationally, not irrationally. Rationally you apply policies. You follow that. You depend on the policies. You live according to the policies. Like that, patipatti, pratipatti means sometimes the policies that you put into action. Practical. Whatever you have heard, you have learned, you have gained from the theoretical background or understanding, you may put them into practice and you activate yourself in practicing them. Then what happens? Sometimes you may feel obstacles, you may have barriers, then again and again you try to make them correct and you practice and practice. When you practice, you gain the knowledge with experiences that is experimental. When you have experimental conditions, you become investigative in Dhamma. After that, you may realize, you may attain some spiritual attainments. Then what happened? With those spiritual attainments, in case of Buddhism, what is called Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, Arahat. Those achievements, then you become a first-hand experiencer. First-hand experiencer. Then you become a first-hand person who got first-hand realization. That's why Buddhism is scientific. Buddhism is scientific. The special feature, so when we think of scientific, scientists go to the lab and they do investigation, they do researches, they come out with the results and they explain. Then we welcome their attitudes or notions or whatever. How do they reveal those things? Because of their first-hand realization. But as the people, we may look at them and try to welcome their attitudes or conclusions with their own first-hand experiences. But in case of the spirituality development, it cannot happen like that. Spirituality means a personal process, personal growth. So following the path of pariyatti, patipatti and pativeda, we try to grow ourselves according to the teachings of the Buddha. We try to grow up, we try to develop our capacity, your capacity. So when you develop your personality, when you grow your personality, your spirituality, your abilities, according to the Dhamma, you would become the first-hand experiencer. Those are non-verbal sometimes. Then, when we think of like that, according to pariyatti, patipatti, pativeda, there are several paths in Buddhism in order to improve your spirituality, develop your spirituality, practice your spirituality. The main teaching in Buddhism for the practice of spirituality is Eightfold Path. Noble Eightfold Path. Noble Eightfold Path, what is that? Samma Ditti, Samma Sankappa, Samma Vacha, Samma Kammanta, Samma Ajiva, Samma Vayama, Samma Sati, Samma Samadhi. Have you heard about that? The Noble Eightfold Path. Samma Ditti means the right view. Right view means the correct view. I can remember still when we define the Eight Noble Path, late Bhante Punnaji, he wouldn't be happy to use the term right. Instead, he used the harmonious perspective. Harmonious perspective. But commonly we use right view. Right view means Samma Ditti. Then right resolve. Samma Sankappa. Or right thought. Then right speech. Samma Vacha. Right conduct or action. Samma Kammanta. Then right livelihood. Samma Ajiva. Then right effort. Samma Vayama. Right mindfulness. Samma Sati. Then Samma Samadhi, right concentration. Why do we need right view? Why do we need right view? When we develop the spirituality, we need to understand something, our actions, whatever we need, whether it got positive or negative results. In case of the development of the spirituality is just not a meaning to gain your personal properties, money, building houses or like that. That is to develop your mind and shorten the sansaric life and attain the ultimate happiness. When we think of the ultimate happiness, we need to think whatever we look at, whatever we examine, whether there is correct path, right view. So we need to think of, we have to think, we have to believe in rebirth, we have to think of the death. After the death, again you would receive a rebirth, better to say reoccurrence of the birth. Then in addition to that, you have to trust about the cause and effect, karma and hetupala, and action and reaction. If you trust in that way, sometimes you avoid different things in practice. I'm not going to explain in details the right noble path, eight noble path, because you already know, just a brief introduction. Then when we think of Samma Sankappa, right thought, you think whether your thoughts are good or bad, negative or positive. If the thoughts are negative, what happens? Indeed, your mentally is not pure. Then Samma Vacha, the way of speaking, whether it is noble, whether it is tamed, whether you are using the good, pleasant words, whether you are talking of truths, you need to think. Then Samma Kammanta. How about your practices? Whether you are killing the living beings, whether you are stealing, whether you are engaging in sexual misconduct, whether you are telling drinking alcohol, those impure actions, if they include in your life, what happened? Your way of living is not good. Then Samma Ajiva. Samma Kammanta means whatever you do for living. Just like trading, if you trade in weapons or if you sell in living beings, sometimes liquor, poisons, if you are selling meats, like that. Samma Ajiva means, both Kammanta means like that. Ajiva means whether you are engaging in such type of activities. Then Samma Vayama. In your life, if you have the ability to prevent the arising of unwholesome states in your mind and to eradicate the existing unwholesome states, then to generate the wholesome states in the mind and continue the existing wholesome states in the mind, that ability, your efforts, Samma Vayama. Then Samma Sati, of course, a quality that watches over your mind. You have to observe your mind, whether it is good or not, whether it works positively and negatively. And Samma Samadhi, practicing of the stages of dhyana, that means you have to engage in meditation to think. When we conclude these 8 steps, we can come into one stanza in the Buddhism. Do you know that stanza? The way of building spirituality. In 4 lines the Buddha said, Sabbha papassa akaranang kusalassa upasampada sachitta pariyodapanang etam buddhanusasana. When we conclude 8 noble paths into 3, some say Sila Samadhi Prajna. Some say Sila means Sabbha papassa akaranang, not to do evil things. Kusalassa upasampada, yes, develop your wholesome things. Sachitta pariyodapanang, purify your mind. Etam buddhanusasanang, this is the instruction given by all the Buddhas. That's the way of the building spirituality in your mind to have a personal growth. In another way, this is defined as Sila Samadhi Prajna. On the other hand, we define it as Dana, Sila and Bhavana. Dana, Sila and Bhavana. Then the spiritual development is practical. When we think of these stages, when we think of the religiosity, religiosity does not reveal such type of developmental stages of the spirituality. When you become more religious, but you think any ethic, any moral code, any practices, if there is in a religion that is based on the fundamental truths in the world, reality, that can enhance your spirituality. So, Brahmacharyam Pakaseta. When the Buddha says Brahmacharyam Pakaseta like that, that means to assist the individual in the society, in the world, to assist the humans and the gods to develop their spirituality. Having a divine life is a result of result of practicing of the spirituality, not because of the religiosity. Religion can be used as a term in order to refer to sometimes the doctrine at present time. Whatever we have written regarding a belief, regarding a worship, all those can become religious, because that depends on a belief and worship. But spirituality, that is based on learning and gaining the theoretical knowledge from learning, then practice, then self-realization. Self-realization. So when we come to this spiritual development, spirituality, the term Brahmacharya can be used to introduce the Buddhist way of the development of spirituality. But this term can have different meaning. Even though it got different meaning in different sense, all those meanings circle around the term spirituality, the meaning or the process of spirituality in Buddhism. The term Brahmacharya got different meaning. I'll just say and express ideas regarding few meaning. So, when we translate the term Brahmacharya into English, and all the time we use the word celibacy. But the real meaning in case of the practical nature, that is the spiritual development. The way of the spiritual development. So the term Brahmacharya has been used for different practices in Buddhism. One is offering dana. If you practice generosity, if you offer dana, in some Jataka stories it has been mentioned as a part of Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya. The offering dana has been defined as Brahmacharya. Therefore, in the sense of giving, in the sense of offering dana, we may use the term Brahmacharya in that case as well. Not only that, if someone guide you, if someone teach you how to perform something, if you engage in rituals and practices, in that meaning as well, if you are instructed someone to do something good and better, something true, something noble, that guidance is also called Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya. What the Buddha did for his life as a Buddha, he guided us in order to do something noble. That is Brahmacharya. Then, sometimes there are some people in this world, they just think, I am the superior. They don't know how to respect the elders. When we think of respecting the elders, we think if they are elders, in order to receive our respect, they should be higher than us in the sense of money or in the sense of profession or in the sense of whatever things. Depending on their status and the positions and the power, we may respect. If not, you think there is an old man and woman, they are very poor, but if they are elders than you, do you respect? You don't think of that. Sometimes we disrespect. In that case, if they are elders than you, if they are older than you, you have to pay respect. Because they were born to this world earlier than you. You think you are going to a hospital to meet the doctor. You are given the numbers to stay in the queue. You got number 1, number 2, number 3. Now, number 3, try to go to the doctor before the number 2 or 1. What happened? Are you struggling? Are you competing? Are you going to fight with the person? Of course. You got a problem and maybe you shout, how come? I am number 2, I am number 1. While we are here, how can you go? There, number 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, whatever number is counted because of the arrival time, early arrival, then the time that you have taken the number. When they are late, so you have to respect the early comers. In the same manner, even though some people lack of certain facilities or advantages or powers or positions or whatever designation, in case of our things, but if they are elders than us, we have to respect their seniority. That's a noble quality. That noble quality is also defined as what is? Brahmacharya. Puja cha pujaniyana. That is to sense. In case of monks, so the monk seniority is counted because of their ordination and high ordination. Venerable Sumangala is here. I got ordination before him. I got high ordination before him. Maybe he can have the PhD earlier than me. But who comes first? I come first because of my seniority in ordination and high ordination. Then in that spiritual development, the age is not counted. Sometimes he is older than me in case of the age, but later he entered the Buddha's order after me. Then I become the senior. That seniority is counted like that. Then, to respect the elders is known as a practice of Brahmacharya in Buddhism. In addition to that, you know the Four Noble Divine things, for sublime factors, Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekka, they are also known as Brahmacharya. Then, giving the Dhamma talks or the Dhamma preaching sermon, teaching the Dhamma as well defined well in Buddhism as Brahmacharya. That's why the Buddha says two monks do not want to go on the same road. One monk can go on the same road here and there and preach the Dhamma. Brahmacharyam pakaseta. Their Brahmacharya means preach the Dhamma. Give the Dhamma talks. Because from the Dhamma talks you can gain the theoretical understanding. From hearing to the Dhamma, from learning the Dhamma, from studying the Dhamma, you can gain the knowledge of the Dhamma. Then pariyatti, patipatti. You come to theoretical background to practical session. Then you come to pativeda, the self-realization. The highest stage of the spiritual development. Andakavinda Sutra in Buddhism, in Samyutta Nikaya, explains teaching the Dhamma, giving the Dhamma talks. So the Dhamma talks as telling the truth or telling the Brahmacharya, the way of the spiritual development. Therefore, Dhamma talks always are designed to explain the process of the spiritual development. In that sense, Dhamma talks is understood as the practice of Dhammacharya. That's why the Buddha says, Dhammacharyam pakaseta, which is correct at the beginning, which is correct in the middle, which is correct at the end, and meaningful. In addition to that, there are some other meanings. Practice of abstaining from sexual misconduct. That is also Brahmacharya. Sexual misconduct means the practice of sexual conduct apart from the husband and wife. Illegal sensual pleasure. That is called Brahmacharya. Sometimes we call Abrahmacharya as well. That is to completely abstain from sexual activities. That is also defined as Brahmacharya. And also, if you determine to gain a target, complete a target, you have a purpose. When you complete the purpose, whatever your dedication you do, rightfully, rationally, the complete in the task or the purpose is also Brahmacharya. You just come to the temple, listen to the Dhamma talks, learn the Dhamma, you may go and practice, then you just try to shorten the samsaric life and attain the Nibbana. That's your purpose, that's your target. So once you complete your final salvation, final liberation, that also would be the, what we call, Brahmacharya. Then right effort, that is also Brahmacharya, because you prevent existing evil things in practice, and you just prevent arising of the new evil practices or thoughts. You just try to promote existing wholesome things in practice. You just try to support to arise new wholesome things in practically. When you try to do those efforts, that is also Brahmacharya, because you try to learn the Dhamma, try to understand, try to practice, and try to avoid practically. Then you just become a self-realized person. at the end, again and again, in Brahmacharya Sutta and Govinda Sutta in Sutta Pitaka, they both define eightfold path as the Brahmacharya concept in Buddhism. Brahmacharya. Because it shows as a balanced way how to develop your spirituality in your life while enjoying the lay life. So, in a sense, in order to understand the spiritual development, in case of a layperson like you, try to follow the instructions given in the discourse of Mahamangala Sutta, the discourse on auspicious signs. Auspicious signs are always designed to gain a spiritual development throughout your lifetime. Throughout your lifetime, without letting you to go to underworld, but go to the heaven and shorten the sansaric life and say goodbye to this sansaric journey. That's the miracle of this spirituality. Spirituality is practical. Religiosity is not practical, just follow. Therefore, spirituality is permanent practice in your life. Religiosity, sometimes we can drop the religion. You see, there are some beings in this world, humans, who have no religion, but they have a spirituality. Spirituality means always noble. Like that, we can show the differences between religiosity and spirituality with reference to Buddha's teachings. So, we'll stop there. If any questions, I would be happy to answer.
Thank you, Bhante, for the interesting talk. Referring to the term Brahmacharya, in the suttas we often read the English translation, lead the holy life, right? The monks goes forth to lead the holy life. This translation, to lead the holy life, is this a translation of the term Brahmacharya?
In a sense, the term Brahmacharya can be used as spiritual life. That is common to both lay and monks. Holy life means sometimes in some religions they refer to the priesthood.
Or the noble ones?
Yeah. In some religion, holy life means they refer to the priesthood.
Okay.
But when we say life is holy, that means it denotes a pure life. We can interpret it many ways. One meaning is it refers to the priesthood as it is clearly pure. Could you understand? Holy means clearly pure. In that sense, we can use the word holy life.
That holy pure will be the arahants only?
Yes.
Yes.
Holy life refers to the priesthood and the pure life. Priesthood, indeed, it can be a pure life in case of the practices of those religions. And also holy life, on the other hand, it refers to life which is what we call sacred. In that case, in some translations, English word holy life has been used to denote Brahmacharya life, and in some cases we use the spiritual life. But remember, the term Brahmacharya, even though I just told that is the spiritual process in any other places that is not used to introduce the spirituality directly.
Yes.
Could you understand?
Yes. Thank you,
Yeah.
Bhante.
Any questions from the audience? I'll add some more factors. The brother's questions was whether the term Brahmacharya is used to introduce holy life in English translation.
I mean only the holy life that is
Yeah.
that we read in the sutras.
Generally, the term holy life can be used in any religion in order to introduce a person who just behave morally and ethically according to their teaching. But in case of Buddhism is the one and only religion that uses the term Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya life.
Yeah, it was interesting to hear these many meanings of
Yeah.
the term.
Brahmacharya life.
I didn't hear that
but,
before.
Commonly remember, among the any other people who follow different religions, they may be completely or slightly, they may practice the things knowingly or unknowingly what is said in Buddhism. Then in that sense, they can practice Brahmacharya even though they are not aware of the concept.
Yeah.
That's all.
Or
Thank you for your beautiful question.
Okay, thank you.
Mangala Sutta, the discourse on the auspicious sign, that is from Sutta Nipata. So always we recite when we do the Paritta chanting. If you need to read the Mangala Sutta, you can use the brown color textbook or yellow color chanting book in the temple, starting from Evam me sutang ekan samayan bhagava savatyang viharati. Then we recite the Ratana Sutta after that, then Karaniyametta Sutta. In that sutta we teach Bahudeva Manussanang Patirupa Desavasocha, then Mata Pitu Pattanang, Dhanancha Dhammacharyacha. Like that the stanzas, and it teaches about 38 auspicious practices in the life that we can practice as a lay person in your life. Not only lay persons, anybody can absorb without the differences of the religion. Anybody can practice. Anybody can practice. That is common. You may go to the vihara and find the yellow color big book, or otherwise the brown color chanting book. If you ask our boys in the temple, they will provide you.
Sure, Bhante. Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bhante. Thank you.
If there are no more questions, shall we transfer the merits altogether? Okay, by the power of, through listening to the Dhamma, you might have gathered much merits, and by the power of those merits, may you be well and happy. May you be possess wealthy and healthy life. May you understand the Buddha's doctrine. May you able to shorten the sansaric life and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. May all the departed ones in your family, may they receive these merits. May they be blessed by these merits and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. May all the deities receive these merits. May they bless you. May they be also able to attain the Nibbana. May all the beings be well and happy. May all the beings attain supreme state of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Akasattha ca bummatta deva naga mahindika punyantang anumoditva chiran rakkantu loka sasanang. Akasattha ca bummatta deva naga mahindika punyantang anumoditva chiran rakkantu desanang. Akasattha ca bummatta deva naga mahindika punyantang anumoditva chiran rakkantu mang paranti. I bless you also. Abhivadana silissa niccang vuddhapachayino cattaro dhamma vaddanti ayuvanno sukham balang ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevaca ato nibbana sampatti iminate saminjatu. May the triple gem bless you. Have a good night.